Hey guys, it's me, and I am really excited to talk about corridos here with you this week. Corridos, of course, as you already know and have gone through this lesson, essentially are um, are epic poems. They tell about a big event. They have villains and they have heroes. And they're set to music. So people think that because they're set to music, they're songs, and they are songs. But really, when you boil them down, they're poetry, and they're poetry of the people because they're accessible to the the big population here in this side of the border and in Mexico. And one of the things that I'm hoping that you gathered from the lesson is that um, this wonderful uh, poetry made its way into Texas, and it was embedded in Texas um, really even before the Mexican Revolution, as people were traveling back and forth. Just because you name a border doesn't necessarily mean that people still don't have to travel back and forth through it or in it. This type of work still continues. So I'm going to scroll down here on your lesson, which by the way, I think happens to be one of my favorite lessons um, because I did lots of research for it and I love teaching this. So going past the Mexican Revolution, going past all this, we have the characteristics of el corrido. And so you've already read it. I'm just going to explain it just a little bit more um, and even talk about the technical issues of this because I want to go through El Corrido de Gregorio Cortez with you. I don't want you just to read it and then do a discussion post. I want you to be very educated on it. And so you know that this is an epic poem. You know that it tells about a story, an important event that happened. You know that it's got a rhythm, it's got a pattern, it's got a villain and a hero, and it explains the big themes and the big themes, especially during this era. And as you will see from the rest of the lesson, it has the themes of the haves and the have-nots, um, poverty versus people who are not in poverty, the oppressed versus the oppressor, um, good versus bad. They have all these themes here. In addition, we have like the nitty gritty things, the stuff that makes it in English class. You have the fact that a corrido has 4 to 6 lines in each verse and has different types of rhyme schemes. Um, you understand that the person who is singing or talking, the speaker, in this case would be the troubadour because they are singing it, but it would be the point of view of the narrator. Um, they it's either in first person or third person, and they're acting as witness of the event that happened. Um, you know that the poem structured in quatrains. That means 4 lines in each stanza or little paragraph. In case you don't know what a stanza is, and it usually has an A B C B rhyme scheme. Now this is in Spanish. However, when we talk about the English translation of the Corrido of Gregorio Cortez, it's going to have this rhyme scheme for the most part, and we'll talk about that in a minute here. Um, the opening usually sets the scene, the time, the central issues, kind of what happens, and then the closing stanza gives a commentary on the events. And if it's in a song form, it tells you that the song is done, and it says "Have a good night." So let's get here to Gregorio Cortez here. This is actually I got from the ebook that I asked you to read. So I just literally just grabbed it from there and put it here so I can actually manipulate it a little bit. This is the English version of the Spanish corrido, um, and it's translated by Americo Paredes. He is actually a scholar in Mexican corridos. He is the definitive. This is the guy you go to understand what this is and understand it as poetry. And so he did a translation of this and followed the scheme um, of the um, of the actual corrido. So when we're talking about the rhyme scheme, we're talking about all the characteristics. We're literally talking about it in Spanish. He translated that with those characteristics into English, which I thought was pretty awesome, actually. So let's start here. In the country of El Carmen, a great misfortune befell. The major sheriff is dead. Who killed him, no one can tell. So we have an opening here. We have someone who is dead. Nobody knows it yet. It's the opening scene here. And then we have the rhyme scheme. And let's go ahead and write this in. We have an A here. Befell, different sound here, different rhyme. So it's B, dead, C, and tell rhymes with befell, so it's a B. And look at that. We have an A, B, C, B rhyme scheme here. Let's continue. At 2 in the afternoon, a half an hour or less, they knew that the man who killed him had been Gregorio Cortez. This, again, giving you the time, giving you plot devices. If you remember things from 1302, the plot devices, time, date, place, setting, setting the scene. So it's giving you some setting devices as well. It's giving you who, it's the whole nine. And here we have, let's see, afternoon, A. And we're just taking it stanza by stanza, by the way. Less, B. Him, C. And Cortez kind of rhymes with less, B. Here we go. The rhyme scheme is still there. And more setting in the county of Caines, and I believe that is a Spanish pronunciation of Carnes County. And I should probably highlight this so you know that it is my doing here. So that's Cars County there. Oh, I don't know where the highlight is. Here it is. So Caines, right? How you pronounce it in Spanish. They cornered him after all, though there were more than 300. He leaped out of their corral. Now here we start doing some character development here. Oh, those 1302 lessons are coming back to bite you, aren't they? So there were more than 300, so he leaped out of his corral. Yeah, this is kind of a superhero type of situation going on here. Yeah, he's a superhero here. He is, let me see if I can get you guys to see that. There's some superhero work here. He leaps, he bounds in a single bounce here. He's being set up as a hero. Let's continue. When the major sheriff said, as if he was going to cry, Cortez, hand over your weapons. We want to take you alive. Okay, here's some more character development here with our friend Cortez, or our friend here, the major sheriff. We know that he's already going to die. So what we know about the sheriff is he's about to die. So he is going to be a character that you don't want people attached to because he's also going to cry. So that makes him weak, right? Not a hero. And so we continue. They let loose the bloodhound dogs. They followed him from afar, but trying to catch Cortez was like following a star. More hero worship here. You've got a lot of heroism in here. We don't know what he did. We don't know what Mr. Cortez did in this poem. It doesn't really say. We just know a little bit about the history because I've asked you to read the history. And depending on who's telling the history, different things happen, right? And so this is another version of history. So there's some hero worship here. They compare him to a star. He's out of this world. Untouchable. So that's kind of interesting here. Again, you're seeing him set up here in a very interesting way. All the rangers in the county were flying and they rode so hard. What they wanted to get, the $1,000 reward. And so you have greed. You have the villain here, and I'll abbreviate that, villains, and they are greedy. and they are trying to catch the hero, and the hero is uncatchable. And so because they are doing it for the wrong reasons, their motivation is wrong, and the motivation is essentially bad, and essentially they're the man. That's how they're set up as villains. Then said Gregorio Cortez, and his voice was like a bell. You will never get my weapons till you put me in a cell. Here he is standing up to the man. He is standing up to the powers that be, the villains, the greed. Gregorio is an ordinary man in extraordinary circumstances, and the extraordinary circumstances is that he's standing up for what is right, or what is perceived to be right. Then Gregorio Cortez, with his pistol in his hand, so many mountain rangers just to take one Mexican. And this is the end. And so here you have, like it said in our lesson, you have here kind of a commentary of what happened or what's going on. Right? You have a commentary. We don't hear from this corrido whether he is caught. We don't hear about how he was arrested and taken to jail. We don't hear the circumstances of the arrest. We don't hear about the pardon, because he is pardoned later on according to history. We only hear that he has stood up to the man, he has stood up to the villainy, he has stood up to the greed, he has stood up to everything, and at the end it took all these people just to take down one person. And so that solidifies um, his superhero status. It solidifies him as untouchable. It solidifies him and his legend, and who he is. Now I'm going to go ahead and put this link in in your your lesson here. This is, of course, Genius.com, which I love and adore. Again, 1302, coming to bite you again. This is the Corrido de Gregorio Cortez, sung by Ramon Ayala, who is a singer in the Mexican culture, very popular. And this is in Spanish. So you can, if you understand Spanish, you can read the Spanish. If not, you can look at the translation. It's a close enough translation. Here, I love how they annotate things, and how they make a reference to things, right? And even they talk about Gregorio, and who he was. Even have a little bit of picture. A rare picture of Mr. Cortez. You can barely see him. The link for the Texas State Historical Commission actually also has a picture. They can see it's a lot clearer than that. And they have all these great annotations here. So they've got the Spanish version, and I've got you the English version here. This will not be on your lesson because you're in a sophomore level literature course. You should be able to annotate already. And you have this wonderful video to help you. So there you go. That's the breakdown of El Corrido de Gregorio Cortez. And we see here, it feels all of these characteristics. The stuff that I have given you as someone who studies this, and then from Mr. Limon's research, all these things as well. It fulfills all these requirements. It fulfills all these wonderful things. You're going to get a chance to write your own corrido. It is one of your assignments, so keep a lookout for that. I hope this was helpful to you, and keep going on the lesson, guys. Bye.